$35 billion.
Yeah, that is a huge number.
Right. And that is not a high-flying tech company's total valuation, by the way.
Not at all.
It is just the starting budget for one single infrastructure project, launched by Broadcom, Apollo, and Blackstone.
Just the starting point. Exactly.
So today, we are doing a deep dive into why the artificial intelligence revolution has become so staggeringly expensive that standard venture capital simply can no longer foot the bill.
Right, because the scenario we really need to unpack here is a structural turning point. I mean, what happens to the entire trajectory of AI when the physical infrastructure to run it becomes simply too expensive to fund like ordinary computer hardware?
It breaks the system, right?
Exactly. It forces a complete rewrite of how technology is paid for.
Which translates into a very practical question for you, the listener. If these massive server arrays are suddenly too expensive for even the most highly funded startups in history to just, buy outright.
And they are.
Then who actually owns these massive machines? Who leases them? And why is that fundamentally rewriting the business model of AI?
Well, we have a really great stack of recent reporting on the table today to help map this out. We are looking at coverage from the Wall Street Journal, Axios, the Financial Times, alongside some market updates from Investors Business Daily and MarketWatch.
And the mission for this deep dive is to unpack how frontier AI compute is becoming overwhelmingly capital intensive.
That's a great term right there.
Yeah, let's pause on that word for you listening. Capital intensive.
Capital intensive, meaning it requires a massive amount of upfront money just to build the physical assets right before a company can even begin to operate or make a profit.
Exactly. And because it is so capital intensive, it requires specialized financing models, not just your standard cloud contracts.
Right. So to understand why the business model is changing so drastically, we have to first look at the sheer unprecedented scale of these new deployments.
The numbers are wild.
They really are. The Wall Street Journal reported that this new Broadcom, Apollo, and Blackstone partnership,
which they're calling the AI XPV platform, right?
Yes, the AI XPV platform. They are targeting more than 20 gigawatts of AI infrastructure deployment through 2028.
Okay, 20 gigawatts. To put that in perspective for everyone, that is the equivalent of powering multiple mid-sized countries.
It's an astronomical figure.
It really is. And the reporting notes that the first tranche of this funding alone supports over 1 gigawatt of compute capacity specifically for Anthropic, while also expecting to support OpenAI's growth.
That metric right there is worth a closer look. Compute capacity.
Let's take a beat for that phrase, compute capacity.
So when we talk about compute capacity, which is the actual volume of processing power a data center can deliver, we are no longer measuring it in, the number of servers.
Right.
We are measuring it in gigawatts of electricity. That shifts the entire paradigm of how you build a business.
But see, here's where the friction point is for me.
Right.
Frontier AI companies like Anthropic and OpenAI, they have billions of dollars in venture capital backing. I mean, they have raised unprecedented rounds of funding.
Oh, absolutely.
So why can't they just take all that cash and buy the hardware themselves?
Well, it really comes down to the mechanics of corporate finance, specifically a concept called the capital stack.
Ah, the capital stack. Another key term for our listeners. Let's repeat that. The capital stack.
Right. So a company's capital stack, which is the different layers of financing it uses to fund its operations, it ranges from equity at the bottom, like venture capital, up to different types of debt at the top.
Let's break down why that matters here, because venture capital is equity.
Exactly. An AI startup sells a percentage of its future upside to get that cash.
Right.
And equity is, it's the most expensive money a company has. I mean, if you believe your AI startup might be worth $1 trillion one day, giving up 5% of it today to buy physical servers that will be obsolete in maybe 36 months.
That's a terrible financial trade.
It's awful. It dilutes the founders and the early investors just for the sake of buying depreciating metal. It is an unsustainable burden.
But they are massive companies now. Why can't Anthropic just, walk into a major bank, leverage their huge valuation, and ask for a $3 billion corporate loan?
Because from a traditional bank's perspective, that is just plain unsecured borrowing.
Meaning there's nothing backing it up.
Exactly. You are asking for a massive loan without specific liquid collateral. It's based largely on the hope that your next language model will be a huge commercial hit.
And if it's not?
Right. If the model fails, how does the bank get its money back? It is incredibly risky, which means the interest rates on that kind of unsecured debt would just be crushing.
So if spending their equity is too expensive and taking on massive unsecured corporate loans is a non-starter, they have to completely pivot their strategy.
They do.
They're moving away from acting like standard software startups, buying office equipment, and pivoting toward true infrastructure financing.
Yes.
Let's pause to highlight that phrase, infrastructure financing.
We are talking about the exact same long-term funding structures used to build, toll roads, power plants, and airports.
But now applied to data centers.
Now it is being applied to AI data centers.
Which brings us to how the $35 billion actually flows to get these machines built and running. Because the reporting from the Financial Times and Axios maps out the structure of this deal. And it revolves around a special purpose vehicle.
Yes, a special purpose vehicle.
That is a critical term for you to know. Special purpose vehicle.
For anyone who doesn't spend their day analyzing corporate structures, a special purpose vehicle, or SPV, is essentially a financial quarantine zone.
I love that description, a quarantine zone.
Yeah, it is an entirely separate legal entity created specifically for one single project. The SPV isolates the financial risk.
Okay, so in this structure, Anthropic is not buying the physical equipment.
Correct. The SPV is buying the equipment. If the AI company runs into financial trouble down the road, the SPV and its lenders still own the hardware outright.
Ah. And according to Axios, what Anthropic is actually doing here is using a leaseback model.
Yes.
Let's give our listeners a second on that one. Leaseback model.
So in a leaseback model, the SPV owns the equipment, and the AI company simply leases the right to use it. Axios reported that Anthropic is leasing Google-designed chips.
Which Broadcom helped develop.
Right, which Broadcom helped develop, and these are hosted in FluidStack data centers.
The analogy that immediately comes to mind here is the commercial airline industry.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Because airlines, like the ones you actually fly on, they rarely buy their fleets of Boeing or Airbus jets with cash.
Right, they don't.
The planes are way too expensive. And tying up capital and depreciating assets just ruins their balance sheet.
Yeah.
So instead, specialized leasing companies own the planes, and the airlines just lease them to fly passengers.
Exactly.
What we are seeing right now is basically the airline leasing model coming to artificial intelligence.
And that airline analogy highlights exactly why this structure works. I mean, Anthropic is the airline. They just want to train the models and serve the users. The AI XPV platform is the leasing company that actually owns the jets.
Right. But I do want to push back on that analogy for just a second.
Go for it.
Because planes are highly liquid assets. If an airline goes bankrupt, the leasing company just repossesses the Boeing 737, they paint a new logo on the tail, and they lease it to another airline.
Very true.
But Axios noted that Anthropic is leasing Google-designed chips. We are talking about highly specific hardware. If an AI company defaults, how liquid is a data center full of custom chips? Like, who else can easily use them?
That is a fantastic point. You are touching on the real vulnerability here, and it explains why Broadcom's specific role in this partnership is so critical.
Okay, how so?
Well, the Financial Times noted that Broadcom's anchor backing in this deal helped price the senior debt much lower than what Anthropic would pay normally.
Let's look at that term for our learners.
Yeah.
Anchor backing.
Having an anchor backing the deal means a massive, highly stable company is putting its weight, its credit rating, and its industry expertise behind the project.
Because Broadcom helped develop the technology.
Exactly. Lenders look at this SPV and they don't just see some risky startup leasing obscure hardware. They see Broadcom validating the technology and ensuring it functions within a broader ecosystem.
Ah, so that lowers the perceived risk of the hardware becoming useless.
And lower risk means a lower interest rate on the massive loan to the SPV.
Which fundamentally changes the AI company's cost of capital.
Yes.
Let's pause on that one. Cost of capital.
A company's cost of capital, which is how much it actually costs them to get the money they need to operate, that can make or break their entire business model.
Right, because if your cost of capital is too high, it doesn't matter if your AI model is 10% smarter than the competition.
Not at all. You will bleed cash trying to pay the interest rates on the compute capacity required to train it. So Broadcom's anchor backing lowers that cost of capital, allowing the AI company to scale efficiently.
Wow. And the Financial Times framed this entire structure as a potentially reusable financing template.
Yes, a financing template. Let's make sure we note that phrase.
Financing template. This implies it isn't just a clever one-off deal for a single data center, right?
No, it is a blueprint. a
Yeah.
blueprint that the entire AI industry might use going forward to build out the next generation of infrastructure.
But securing the hardware, the financing, is only half the battle, isn't it?
It is, because once Broadcom, Apollo, and Blackstone build this infrastructure, the AI companies are locked into a financial ecosystem that is intricately tied to the physical hardware itself. You simply cannot separate the money from the silicon.
So the technology drives the financing just as much as the financing enabled the technology.
Precisely.
And the Wall Street Journal reported that this platform is designed to support XPU-based infrastructure and networking, and the main goal of that specific infrastructure is high power efficiency.
Yes, power efficiency. Let's take a second on that term as well. Power efficiency.
Power efficiency is becoming the dominant constraint in the industry, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
When you are deploying 20 gigawatts of capacity, power efficiency isn't just about, saving a little money on the electric bill.
Right.
It dictates where you can physically build data centers and whether the local power grid can even support them. Lowering power consumption directly lowers the operating cost for training and running these models.
And the market is reacting very aggressively to the companies supplying this highly efficient tech.
They definitely are.
Investors Business Daily reported that Broadcom recently beat Wall Street's Q2 earnings estimates and raised its AI revenue outlook. But MarketWatch pointed out something really fascinating.
What was that?
Investors still wanted faster upside.
Wow. That market reaction reveals a lot about the current state of the industry. It proves how immense the expectations are for Broadcom's deployment pipeline.
That's a great business term right there. Deployment pipeline. Let's repeat that for everyone. Deployment pipeline.
The deployment pipeline refers to the actual schedule, the capacity, and the volume of products a company is ready to physically build, ship, and install.
So investors are looking at Broadcom's deployment pipeline, and despite beating earnings, they're demanding even more volume, even faster.
Which is incredibly difficult to do because we are dealing with custom silicon.
Custom silicon. Let's pause for that term too. Custom silicon.
Custom silicon refers to microchips that are engineered from the ground up for one highly specific task.
Like training massive neural networks.
Exactly, rather than just general-purpose computing. Broadcom helping develop these Google-designed chips means they are operating at the absolute edge of manufacturing capabilities. You cannot just flip a switch and double production overnight.
Right, it's not like printing software.
Yeah, not at all.
So if we pulled all these threads together, what we are really analyzing is a unified closed-loop system. Custom silicon, advanced networking gear, massive data center contracts, and the specialized infrastructure financing to pay for it all. They are no longer separate industries.
No, they are reinforcing each other. Broadcom's strategy here proves that infrastructure vendors are no longer just passive suppliers selling components.
Right.
By teaming up with Apollo and Blackstone, Broadcom is actively shaping the financial architecture of the entire AI industry.
They aren't just manufacturing the engine, they are writing the loan for the car, and they are paving the highway.
That is a perfect way to put it. If this financing template scales, the ultimate winners in AI infrastructure won't be standalone companies.
What will they be?
They will be massive alliances. Chip designers, cloud data centers, private capital groups, and lenders all moving in lockstep.
So the AI revolution has really matured. We have reached a phase where the financial engineering behind the scenes is just as complex and just as critical to survival as the software engineering happening in the models.
Absolutely.
So as we step back to look at the whole picture, bringing together the silicon, the billions in capital, and what it means for the future, there are 3 crisp takeaways you should keep in mind from today's deep dive.
Takeaway number 1. AI infrastructure is no longer just a hardware market. It is simultaneously a capital markets market.
Right.
You cannot analyze the physical chips without understanding the financial structures like special purpose vehicles used to buy them.
And takeaway number 2. Special purpose financing lowers the massive upfront burden on AI model companies.
Right. By utilizing a leaseback model, companies can access unprecedented compute capacity without taking on crushing unsecured debt or burning through their expensive venture capital equity.
Exactly. And finally, takeaway number 3. Infrastructure vendors are gaining immense influence.
They really are. Companies like Broadcom are using their technological weight to provide anchor backing for massive loans, meaning they're shaping both the technology roadmaps and the financing templates at the exact same time.
It fundamentally changes how we have to view the competitive landscape of technology over the next decade.
It really does.
And it leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to consider. We spend so much time debating the competition between the AI models themselves, right?
Well, constantly.
Who has the smartest algorithm? Or who can process the most data? But looking ahead, will the ultimate winners of the AI race be determined more by who builds the smartest models or who secures the smartest infrastructure financing?
That is the real question.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.